We bought some of these lettuces that are like alive when you buy them at the grocery store, and they chopped them down. And this one's like a couple days old, but this one's like 2 weeks old, and it's like fully growing back. It's kind of amazing. So here's my clay washing operation, and everything's frozen. There's no washing clay in ice. It's in the sunroom now. This should thaw out within the day, and I'll wash the last of that soil. Yesterday in the big freeze, I wasn't able to undo this thing, but it's coming off now, so at least I can put this just in the sunroom and let it melt out. I'm so glad we kept these instructions. We actually have a bin full of every manual that we've acquired since getting this place. Otherwise, I wouldn't know how to set this code. Well, remember guys to have your key on you when you do this, because I just locked myself out. So since it's nice out, I'm going to be working in this semi-detached room. This room doesn't get any heat, and it's pretty much acts as like a wind block and as an in-between space between going inside. And it's great. We love this room, but it needs a ton of work to kind of get it up to aesthetically a place that we like it, and also functionally a place that we like it. Really, we don't use this space for much. We use it as sort of like a temporary space between going to the garage. And like I've been hanging my jacket on this nail, but we want to turn this room into like a full mudroom and greenhouse kind of space for plants, because I've been growing those weed plants in there when we've been having -5, -7 at night for quite a few nights, and they've been totally fine in this room. So the idea is to take all this plastic off. They put this plastic up to insulate, but it's no longer working in most places, and we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to strip off all of the trim and sand that trim down, exposing the natural wood, and then we'll be finishing it with some lacquer. Around the bottom here, we're going to do a repair with plywood, and then everywhere else on this paneling, we're going to sand and paint. So we're going to paint that all white, and then we're going to build some shelves for plants on either side here, and we're going to have a ton of green plants. So it's going to be nice white, brown, and green. We also have that church pew that I'm hoping will fit here. I still need to measure it. If it doesn't fit there, it can go against this wall or maybe this wall or something. And we also need to repair this window here. Can't believe this just happened. That went right through there, popped a big hole in the floor, and this is all wet. Oh, it's just horrible. That sucks. This whole floor is soaking wet here. Alright, so some things that I've learned. The walls are insulated with fiberglass insulation and they have a vapor barrier. There's some molding issues over here as well as some wet floor issues and floor damage now. The other thing I learned is for some reason this trim is a lot more fragile and kind of more damaged than the other trim that I've pulled off of the doorways and stuff inside the house, whether it's just worn more from, you know, not being heated and staying a little damp maybe. So this bottom trim here, this is pretty much unusable. There are some cracks in some of the other ones, but I'm going to try to use some wood glue and fix those up. The other thing I realized is that the trim for these middle ones here is kind of like a panel trim. Like it's really not high quality, and so it's probably just worth painting over. And this one here that I've exposed, it was so damaged that it wouldn't have even took into a coat of paint anyway. So it had to come off, and it's exposed a crack between the windowsills, which actually the opposite wall, those don't actually have trim in the middle, and they've been painted and they look fine. There is a crack up the middle which I'll seal with a clear silicone or a paintable caulking if I end up painting the middle. I have to figure out what I want to do here, if I want to just cover it up and redo the subfloor next year, and that's pretty much kind of what I'm thinking of, unfortunately. Because we're also going to be covering up these walls and not really doing the walls properly either. And the reason for that really is we don't really know what we want to do in this room yet. We're going to start with just painting it, cleaning it up, kind of getting the trim how we want it, and then we can figure out new windows, we can figure out new material for this, maybe a drywall or whatever, and we'll go from there. I would love to know how this window got knocked out, because it looks like it had been kind of knocked out for a while, because we see a lot of water damage and possibly water pooling right here, and that's what causing this this to rot out. I'm not 100% sure that's why, but it's a pretty good indicator considering that, you know, there wasn't a window here at one point. Maybe this place was empty for a while, maybe they didn't put this up, maybe this didn't work. There's all sorts of reasons why there could still, you know, I gotta, you know, make sure that this is the reason that water is coming in here, but I mean, it's pretty easy to blame this for this. Another reason why one of my favorite quotes is "an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure." So all the nails from the trim are out of the walls. Now the only thing left to do really, I guess I gotta take this trim off. I never really thought about that. There's always more paint prep than you think there is initially. It's just constant. Like I forgot this wall of nails too. There's nails in there. The other thing I need to do, which is a pain, is take this stuff off. This is like a ceiling trim, and it has just this god-awful silicone job holding it onto the ceiling, and this is kind of like a spongy tile, so this needs to be cut in and popped up, and then they used these big flat head nails instead of actual finishing nails, so that's gonna just break off in pretty much chunks. But yeah, then I need to figure out some sort of other trim. I mean, it's missing there anyway, so we got to figure out some ceiling trim. So this trim is broken right here. It's cracked right through the middle and up here too. So this one is done. And then behind here are some boards anyway. See, coming up and becoming flush with the door here. Now what do I leave white and what do I want to expose? I think this door actually would be pretty cool to expose. It's a big wooden door. And then maybe paint this white again, but, you know, give it up a fresh, clean paint. I'm gonna wait on pulling this trim off today, actually. There's also this trim, and it's not like the other trims. It's just pretty much just a 1x4 with a bit of a edge here. And this could be cleaned up and made into wood, but then it would just look like kind of 2x4s. So maybe it needs to be painted too. It might be worth pulling this off and redoing some of the insulation in here too. Dilemma. That's another thing I'm gonna leave. I can't do everything today. I'm gonna try to do the roof, trim a little bit, and then reevaluate what there is left to do. It seems to be working quite well just with this and this. I don't really have to take the X-Acto knife to the silicone like I thought. So all of that's been ripped off. Didn't have too much problem with it. The last piece I tore out is right here, and it ripped the ceiling tile just a little bit, but otherwise it's all good. And what a great day. Just got so much done. We're making our own dreams come true here, guys. It feels good to just kind of get up and do stuff some days. Some days I don't want to do anything. Some days I want to do everything. And today was one of those days, and I really kind of got into it. My body was even a bit sore from the day before, but I was still just kind of stoked on doing stuff. I didn't let anything kind of slow me down, and it felt really nice. The only thing I let slow me down was myself, you know, checking in. Okay, let's go make food. Let's stop to do this. Let's stop to do that. For a while there, I was feeling like I didn't want to do anything, and I was forcing myself to still do things that I didn't want to do. And then I realized I don't really have to do that anymore. You know, I don't have to. I'm in control. I get to do whatever I want to do with my day now. So every day that I wake up in this house, I want to get stuff done. But there are days where I shouldn't be getting stuff done, where I should be sitting back. You know, what is the weekend for? You know, I haven't really given myself any rest days, and I end up sort of doing half-ass work days. And those are my rest days. I'm still trying to do stuff, but I'm not really enjoying it. I'm not really in the moment of it. And I'm not the best I could be. And my work suffers for that. And I don't want my work to suffer. And it doesn't need to suffer, because I have the ability now to relax when I want to relax and work when I want to work. And today was one of those days where I wanted to work and I worked. I think every single room in this house needs a lot of work, even the ones that we have moved on from. It's kind of this thing that we're doing, and that's why these videos are kind of something you have to follow along. And it's because every day we sort of progress, and then we jump back and we eventually get back to finishing a room. Like the bedroom is not finished. The living room is not finished. The kitchen's not finished, but we've sort of moved on. I call it kind of doing like a first run of a room, or first draft, you know. It's like we come in here, we get it to a place where we can function in it, so then we move on to another space so that we can function in it. And we're still sort of doing that, and we're trying to play catch up because there's so much that we want to do on this property. And eventually we'll be able to sit back a little bit and take some more kind of detailed work approaches to some of these rooms. Like the one I'm sitting in, I can't wait for the day where I'm building out a proper desk. You know, I just released, this is how far behind we are. I just released the video where I made this temporary desk, and I'm still rocking this desk. And I'm like, I can't wait until I can actually build out a proper desk. I have such a cool idea for that one. And for the rest of the things in this office, I really, really want to, but I'm restraining myself to then do, you know, a first draft or a first run through of another room like the one that we started today. So we're going to get that up to spec, and you know, there's a little bit of weather proofing that we can do in there, and some damage control that we can do with the window being broken and all that. So there's some really important stuff that we got to do in that room. And it's good that we're starting it, because easily could have just pushed it off, kept pushing it off and finishing these rooms. But coming into winter, it's now really, really important to do as much weatherproofing stuff as we possibly can. There's drafts everywhere. There's no insulation in most of these walls. And it's like we are just ripping this propane furnace. You know, it's great that we have such a efficient furnace, but you know, it's a big house and it's a drafty, uninsulated house. So we're using a lot of gas right now, and I want to fix that. You know, that's a part of the loop in the system that I don't see, you know, as a functioning piece yet. You know, I want, you know, there's some inefficiencies there that we can really work out. And so that's what we're kind of focusing on now. But tomorrow, it'll be a new thing. You know how it is on the homestead. Every single day is different. So thanks guys for following along. If you want to be a part of this and really kind of be a part of something bigger, you can become a Patreon. There's a lot of people on there that are, you know, like-minded and thinking about how what we're doing here is an interesting thing, right? Like they really believe in the homestead. And really the idea of the homestead and why so many people are now behind it and kind of joining up and becoming part of this and realizing that, you know, when they give their money towards this is actually propelling this idea into the future. And the idea is to take this homestead as a blueprint, as a full tutorial, as a beacon of sustainability and possibilities and experimentation and joy and fun and a really like a beautiful place. That's the idea that we're trying to create here. And it's really with all of your viewership that this is possible, and all of you on Patreon, you know. So thank you guys for that. We really, really appreciate it. I can't even say enough. It means a lot. And you know, we're not going to let you down. We're gonna try our best. That's what we're doing here every single day. You know, it starts with, you know, making these rooms better, but it ends with making the world better. It's weird to say, but you know, this is only 2 months in. You know, we got to make our house nice. You know, we got to do everything here, and then we can start expanding out and making everything else nicer.